Hello, welcome to Bugcrowd's webinar on revitalizing product security at Zephyr Health. A little bit about today's agenda. We're going to be talking about the background of Zephyr Health security efforts, a little bit about why they decided to crowdsource security, the logistics of starting a bug bounty program with Bugcrowd, a little bit about the results of the program with Bugcrowd, and then the future of crowdsourced security both at Zephyr Health and as a whole. So a little bit of background about Bugcrowd. It was started by Casey Ellis and Chris Raithke in 2012 on the premise of the defender's dilemma. Basically what that comes down to is there's more attackers in the world than there are defenders, and we needed a way to level the playing field. It was started in order to make bug bounty programs that were made popular by Google, Etsy, and Facebook available to everyone else in the world. So Bugcrowd is crowdsourced security. We deliver that in two different formats. The first is, of course, bug bounty programs, and those are extremely hard to run. Bugcrowd makes bug bounty programs easy by delivering a platform and services to make them effective and efficient. The other format that we deliver crowdsourced security in is what we refer to as flex programs. Flex programs look and act a lot like your traditional penetration test, except they are with a private group of researchers. They are capped cost and they are time boxed. So it's basically a crowdsourced pen test. You can find more about Bugcrowd by downloading our State of Bug Bounty report. So here's a few Bugcrowd customers. We love them and they love us. And of course, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Miss Kim Green.
Well, hello, Chris.
Hello, Kim.
Hello out there. Okay. To everyone that's logged in watching us right now, this is actually really exciting. As you know, the whole implementation of the bug bounty program at Zephyr Health and partnering with Bugcrowd. And so hopefully for the next 40 minutes, we can, touch base on all the things that made it very exciting and successful. So just to give you a little bit of background information on myself and my company, we'll start with basically our company. My company is Zephyr Health, and it is a data analytics organization and an insight as a services organization. So in case any of you are not familiar with that, that is a cloud-based analytics solution that's used to operate big data. And so Zephyr Health has been around since 2011. And it was founded by our current CEO, William King. And it was on the basis of innovation. So innovation is a very important aspect, and it permeates through everything we do at our company, including security. I came on board in the summer of 2014, last year. And how I came on board is I was actually working as the Chief Security Officer for Bosch Healthcare. I was in Germany, and at the time when some Cs reached out to me from Zephyr Health, and what was supposed to be an exploratory 15-minute call turned into, I think, a 2-hour conversation that ended with, I need to go work for this company and we need to have her. So it was pretty awesome. And the connection was there. It was very solid. And a month later, I was back in the States and I was working for Zephyr Health. So that's a little bit about Zephyr Health and how we came to be, and also who I am.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Zephyr Health's basically your security, how you approach security, how it all got started when you joined on board in the summer of 2014, and where it went from there. So if you could just take that away, that'd be awesome.
So one of the things that I really want to express is that, I had never worked for a startup company. And so when I first came on board, I was probably expecting that our security posture might be weak or, immature. The maturity model would be, not well developed. But actually, I was pleasantly surprised. At the time, our CTO, Sven, was overseeing the security programs in our organization. And he had, implemented the foundations for enterprise security. So under his leadership, we had already become or obtained our SOC 2 certification, so that was a good thing. We've implemented a lot of processes around security, and at that point, that was decided that they needed to bring in a CISO, primarily because of the complexity of the kind of data we're dealing with. We are dealing with health data, and so we wanted to make sure that as we're building products, as we're building systems, our security and our privacy programs, that we understood the markets in which we're building those programs. You don't want to build some type of product and not be able to sell it because it doesn't meet the security and privacy requirements of a specific country. So, so he had already done a really great job, and that's kind of when I came on board. I spent probably the last year just kind of enhancing, I would say, our enterprise security. But a lot of energy and effort was built in creating a privacy program, making sure that that was tied back to our security initiatives, and also then moving towards product security. We've made a lot of improvement in the product security area, and we've implementing things like security requirements engineering. We are making sure that our people are role-based trained, so we've introduced parkour training. For those of you who are not interested with the parkour training style, it's basically looking at the roles within our organization and how security pertains to them. Because what doesn't work is ultimately saying, hey, here's 100 policies, read these, and now we're secure because you wrote, you understood. No. We're not doing that. We're looking at what you do in your role and how can you be effective in regards to, bringing in security and making that work. So we've implemented the parkour training. We're automating where we can. Our code source reviews. We've brought in a lot of new technology. We're also automating our compliance landscape so we can look in real time and see, where we need to make our improvements. And we also recently participated in a BSIM study that's sponsored by Cigital to allow us to see where our weak points are in regards to our security initiatives and where we want to move forward with that. And one of that was, hey, we need to do a bug bounty program. And so when we started looking at the bug bounty program, the nice thing is it wasn't difficult to sell to my organization whatsoever. That is usually a main concern for most companies, is the buy-in at the C level, because there's this concept that, hey, we're going to put a target on our back if we do this. And I am here to tell you, my dear peers, that the day of sitting on the fence is long gone. It's not about whether you want to implement a bug bounty program. You should already be doing this. And being able to tap into the vast amount of knowledge and information that is out there in the researcher community, whether that is implementing a private or a public bug bounty program. So that was how we came to be. We already knew we were going to do it. There was lots of energy and buy-in from our C level, and that's how we started.
Cool. Can you tell me a little bit about how, it sounds like you went to the C level, how that conversation actually went? It sounds like it was relatively easy, but how did you approach it?
Okay, well, luckily, like I said, innovation is key, all right? And we're not afraid of information. We're a data analytics company, okay? Yep. So, if we see a source out there that's like, hey, there's a lot of information there, and we should be using that, bringing that back to our company to expand our own internal gene pool, so to speak, then we should be doing that. And how is the best way to do that? So when we addressed the bug bounty program, Sven and William, our CTO, CEO, our VP of engineering, David Arzaria, all on board. Absolutely. It was really just about, do we have the processes in place as we move forward that we know move forward? Do we know how we're going to address any issues that might be found? Can we mitigate them quickly? And also there is the concern, and this is another concern, in that, what happens if one of your researchers decides that they want a night job? And they've discovered a bug in your system that ultimately, if it's mirroring your production system, it's there, right? What's to prevent them from going out and exploiting that vulnerability in your production system? Well, nothing. Really. We are all moving into unknown territory. We're rushing in, we have multiple vendors. A lot of it is based on trust, and you have your due diligence process, but it still comes back down to attestation. And here's the thing. When we did our due diligence process for Bugcrowd, part of it is tell us how you vet your researchers. And that was a very important aspect. We wanted to know, what do? Do you just like sign them up and say, here you go? No, and that's not the case. I mean, there is a vetting process, and that was key. That was very important. But really, as we talked internally, it's no different than this. When we hire people in our organization, there's nothing in theory to prevent our system admins or other individuals that have access to our critical systems from going home at night and doing something they shouldn't. This really is built on trust, and that's why picking the right vendor is very important.
Awesome. And I don't know how deep we're going to get or plan to get into this. I'm kind of going off the rails here, but
I'm very good at doing that. So there you go.
We would be. That's awesome. But what we've talked about extensively, you and I, since we started talking back November, December.
It's been a while.
It's been a long, fun road for sure.
It has.
Is building a security culture, and I think what you started talking about is coming in, and it seemed like the security culture was already there. Right.
Yeah.
What you want to do is basically get that deeper into the roots of your organization. Can you talk a little bit about how crowdsourced security might have helped you build that culture and helped basically ingrain that in your engineering team and everyone else?
Absolutely, because it was very visible.
Mm-hmm.
So as we moved forward and we decided to move forward with the implementation of a private bug bounty program, and I can talk later how we chose the private over public, but so once we implemented it and we went live with our fresh bug bounty program, we were amazed. We have great engineers. We're smart people, okay? But we know we have issues. We know we have bugs in there. But we weren't sure what we were going to expect. And when they started coming in and we were seeing some criticals come in and some P1s, and we thought, oh, wow, we would literally gather, and we were so excited. We'd come in the morning time, we'd look what was being found, and we were just utterly amazed. All of us, the engineering teams, the developers, the security folk, Sven, we were all just really amazed at what was being found. And it was fun because we were sitting there and we were watching as the researchers would create their notes, and they would detail how they found the vulnerability. It was amazing to us because you were literally getting to see how their minds worked, which to us was, I don't know, kind of cool, right? I mean, so it wasn't just about finding the bug. It was like how they went about doing it. Because let's face it, anyone can go up there, throw some, easy scripts around, go out there, and automate and trying to find some issues. But it takes real talent. It takes a real skill set to be able to say, well, I'm not seeing this, but if I did do this, and then perhaps I did that, an exploit that's not even showing, a vulnerability that's not even showing, could potentially be exploited, and that's what we found. And so afterwards, it created a little bit of competition. All of our engineers were very excited. We had our first internal bug bounty program that we opened up to our entire organization. So all of our employees, from the marketing department to data science to anybody, it didn't matter, was allowed to go in and try and hack away, and you'd be surprised how exciting that gets, especially when you put a monitor in what it gets to. So yeah, so everyone's very excited. It created a real sense of just kind of uniformed effort as we're going to go in and tackle these as a company, not just an engineering group or security group.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I'm finding resonates well with pretty much all of our customers. It's we have this mantra here at Bugcrowd. It's think like a hacker.
Yeah.
And it helps all of us kind of think a little bit differently about a problem and come up with solutions that you wouldn't have thought of before.
Right.
And it's interesting to see a lot of our customers come back to us and they say, because of what our engineering team learned about a Bugcrowd private bounty program or public bounty program, they're understanding how your researchers actually look at a problem, right? There's a wall. How do we get to the other side of it? Do we, dig under it? Do we try to blow up the wall to get to the other side of it?
Right.
Do we jump over it? Do we put a ladder? Right?
And you're right on, because let's face it, if we're going to really live by that motto that security is everyone's responsibility, then you need to be able to open that up to everyone. Okay. And I know, like, when our training program came around, we had a password hacking contest, and out of 130 people in the company, 3 people that were able to crack it were not the engineers. So, you know, they're from the marketing department. So so opening up. And that's what we're doing with Bug Bounty. We're opening ourselves up to the talents and wonders that exist in the researcher community.
That's fantastic to hear. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how like crowdsourced security was maybe beneficial to your I guess initiative to build a company of security culture over a traditional penetration test?
Sure. Absolutely. Okay, first of all, I think it's really important to state that I don't see bug bounty vendors replacing security consultancy companies. I don't.
Agreed.
I see that as a supplement. And I see them actually working together and partnering in the future. I really do. And one of the things is as I saw as a pro for using Bug Bounty or using Bugcrowd, is that I could create this flexible bug bounty program. And for instance, I will say, okay, let's just say we created a program and we're going to throw $25,000 out there for the initial program. And we've, determined that for P1s, criticals, P1s, we're going to give 1,000, 15, or 5,000, whatever, 7,000, and so on. The thing is that when it was all done and over with, we still had money in the bank. So we found criticals, we're able to deal with them and address them immediately because our engineering department's awesome. They did it in 24 hours. But we still had money left over so it could be rolled into future bug bounty programs. Now, in the traditional sense, if I had gone out and went with some of the security consultants companies had done just a pen test, it would be a set fee. And it would be, when it's done and over, that's it. Whether there were anything found or not, that was money that was gone. So that was one of the things I really liked was the pricing models. I also liked the fact that obviously you're getting hundreds of researchers that are looking at a problem and coming to you with, their feedback, as opposed to maybe one or two, though very well skilled, pen testers, but probably are, have a preference to certain tools or, whatever. You're getting people they're using different types of tools and they're from all over the world and they're looking at this problems completely different than you or me. That's the benefit of crowdsourcing.
It's exciting, right?
It is exciting. Yeah, it's exciting.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. Cool. Great. So can you maybe talk a little bit about setting up the program, how you got started with Bugcrowd and the logistics around how we engage together?
Sure, absolutely. So how we start off and choosing you guys is that there are certain things that matter. And this is more on a personal level, but it does, again, important to my company as well. But passion, vitality, reciprocity, those are all things that are really, really important. And they're important in my company and they're important in our vendors. And if you're not hungry, and you don't want to come in and you don't want to fix that problem, you're probably not going to be one of our vendors. I mean, that's key. And when Bugcrowd showed up at the door, they were hungry. They were like, we've got a program for you and we're going to customize it and however you need it customized, and they did. And we worked together. Implementing the program was fairly straightforward. Once we decided that we were going to move forward with you wonderful people, we decided on the scope. What we were going to exclude from our bug bounty program, determined what the payouts would be, and then also very important was, are we ready and prepared to deal with anything that's found? Because again, we do want to deal with anything quickly. As an engineering department, prepared to be able to deal stuff within 24, absolutely. 48 hours or whatever. We also wanted to make sure that we had the appropriate disaster recovery procedures in place, because you never know, right? So I wouldn't be a good CISO if I didn't have that to look over.
Thought it through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
thought it through.
we did.
Yeah.
So that's how you guys came in, but it was straightforward. Once we signed on, I think the actual implementation was a few days. Really?
Yeah.
Once it was decided upon and I sent over the scope, it was a few days. We were up and running. And we made sure that we provided a testing environment that was as close to possible as our production environment. And let me tell you, they wasted no time. So when they opened up the door, they were in there. They were in there, there, and it opened up our eyes to a lot of things.
I was watching very closely, as I always do. Every time a program kicks off, I look at this, data, and it starts coming in, and I just want to see how many vulnerabilities are coming in. And once our team starts going through them and triaging and validating, I just love it. I love watching the researchers start out.
And you guys did such a fabulous job with triaging. I got to say that. I mean, really great job, because, we do validate everything ourselves too. So, but when you did the initial triage, it was really just validating, you guys say, this is what, we think is a priority, and it should be a concern. And we would, internally, our engineering team would go through, and we would discuss in the morning time, is this, do we feel this is a priority? Is this valid? And spot on.
Really?
I don't think we ever once
awesome.
had an issue. We agreed with everything and moved quickly to resolve them.
That's fantastic to hear, because we have an extremely talented application security engineering team these are the people who are triaging and validating all the vulnerabilities, and but we understand that they don't know everything about your environment. They can't possibly understand what mitigating controls you might have in place that turns a vulnerability from a P1 to P2 or the other direction, right? But it's awesome to hear that they were pretty much spot on with all the vulnerabilities they went through. That's great. One of the things, and we've talked about this before, but I think you said from the second, I believe you started talking to Brooke Mata, my VP,
actually,
much before me.
The first person I think I ever saw was Casey.
Nice.
He dropped off my shirt, my favorite T-shirt. You've probably seen me, Grace Hopper.
Grace Hopper has a posse.
I wear it all the time. So as you guys know, when you saw me at that Black Hat.
And it sounds like, and don't let me put words in your mouth, we've talked about it before, but the partnership between Zephyr and Bugcrowd, and it sounds like you got that from Casey, Brooke, hopefully myself, down to our operations team, our customer success team, and then the people who are managing and triaging vulnerabilities. So
you're my external red team. So partnership is really, really important. And you guys were all about that every step of the way. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with Bugcrowd. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sitting here and speaking today. It's because I want everyone watching to know that it was an absolute pleasure. And also helping us, educating us on how to implement the bug bounty program so that we would be successful.
Yep. And that's actually another thing that I keep hearing, is that people love that it's not just the triage and validation of our AppSec engineers, as awesome and talented as they are. It's the full management of the program and partnering with our customers from beginning to end.
It is. It's absolutely, end to end. And, and that kind of goes back to what I said earlier, be passionate. Vitality is important. I mean, you have to express those things, because one thing is we're moving, we're opening ourselves up. Okay. And we need to know that when we're doing this, that you have our back, and that's key. That's really important. And I think everyone that ever has had the opportunity to meet with you, and that was, Sven and David, and those were some of the key people, I think they all felt the same way.
Awesome. That's what we love to hear. Okay. Fantastic. And I think we didn't touch on the targets. How did you decide what you were going to keep in scope, leave out of scope? Can you tell me a little bit about that thought process?
Okay. Well, the thing is that we probably already knew we are, being an agile development company, we're constantly coming out with, new releases, and we are also implementing new products. So, there might have been some, nothing critical, but there might have been minor bugs where we know that they reside, but they're going to be resolved in the next release. So anything that was like that, we made sure that was excluded from. We also excluded some of our products as well, because we would be discontinuing that product line very quickly. And in fact, they have been since discontinued. So that was one thing, is making sure that those were not included in the scope. But for the most part, we left the scope pretty wide open. I mean, we pretty much said here is a mirrored environment of our production system, and go at it. We didn't want to limit the scope. We want to know. We want to know everything that you find out in there, and that's what we did.
Cool, awesome, thank you. Great. And how did you come to a decision on how many researchers you wanted?
Well, that was actually kind of, I think it was discussed, both between Bugcrowd and Zephyr Health, and what would be an appropriate amount of researchers for our first flexible program. And I think we decided on a total of 50. It was like, yeah, about 50 researchers. And we became kind of intimate with them because we, like I said, we get to know, oh, hey, Ninja, 8-2, whatever, 80 pounds a day. God, he's so awesome. Or her. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, from my perspective, we encourage our customers to use anywhere from 25 to 100. We can scale that up, we can scale it back based on a lot of different factors. Sound like you landed right in the middle based on your comfort.
I think that was really appropriate. When we look back, we do look back and we determine, okay, was this a success? And one of the things we looked at was the noise factor. We did look to see, okay, for every everything that was reported, or all the valid vulnerabilities that were reported, how many were not valid. And that was the importance of having your triage service, so we weren't really having to do that. But we saw you do the triage. We watched that process and we saw the noise was very low. We were really impressed with the quality of the researchers because I would say normally you'll probably see, for every one valid vulnerability, there might be, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5, maybe even higher, that just weren't valid. And that I didn't see that. I saw pretty much for every one valid submission, there was probably maybe 2 that worked. So, and again, not because they weren't good at what they're doing, they don't always know the whole, landscape of our environment. So, and that's why you have the triaging.
Yeah, absolutely. That certainly makes sense. And I think if you, I've read through our State of Bug Bounty report, we're seeing private programs, no secret, are becoming more and more popular for a few different reasons. We understand we're engaging a lot of organizations that aren't as privy to the idea of bug bounty programs. So they're like, let's start off in private and see if we can prove these results, right? And see how it actually works. Another reason is just reducing the noise until you've gotten to a level where you're comfortable is opening it up to more and more people. So
ultimately that is the goal. I remember sitting in a meeting and telling all the Cs, listen, this is my goal. One day I want to be able to put every single pen test openly up on our website. What? Yeah, that's my goal. That's my goal in this company. And someday that will happen. So this is where we start.
That's awesome. Love to hear it. So on a general note, can you tell us a little bit about where you see the bug bounty industry as a whole, crowdsourced security? I know that's pretty general, but I think you've got some really fantastic insights into that.
Yeah, as much as I'm pretty liberal with my thoughts. So.
Yes, you are.
What I'm saying today is probably actually going to happen 20 years from now. But then I'll be proven correct, right? Listen, and I'm going to say this, and I say this with all sincerity, and I said it earlier on. If you're security professional and you're just now kind of thinking, do you want to move and implement a bug bounty program? As I said before, if you're sitting on the fence on this, you need to move, because dealing with cyber threat it's just becoming more and more cumbersome, and it's getting to the point where if you don't utilize the white hat community, the security researcher community, I think you're doing a huge disservice for your organization. You're putting your company at a huge risk because of what might be perceived as, being conservative and not wanting to put your company at risk. It's kind of like you're doing the opposite. And look at the private bug bounty programs. If you're not ready to go public, I understand we weren't ready. It'll be a while before we are ready to do that. But look at the private programs and, get a hold of Bugcrowd and see what they can do to help you implement that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee you have something in your system and you're going to be absolutely shocked when you get those results back, and it's worth every dime. Every single penny. For the traditional security consultancies, again, I see them partnering with the bug bounty vendors. I know some already are because, they supplement each other. They complement each other. They should not be afraid of each other, because that's just not, security really needs to start coming together. So that's pretty much where I see the bug bounty programs moving forward. We want to continue doing our own internal bug bounty programs. We were very excited to do that, but we will always continue with our external bug bounty programs. As you know, we're working with you now to implement our responsible vulnerability disclosure program, which will complete, I think, our bug bounty program. And so that's what I have to say on the future of bug bounty programs. And also make sure that you pay out well. Because we want to keep those researchers, top notch.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. We've definitely been, as an organization here at Bugcrowd, making sure we're encouraging our customers and everyone who's participating in bug bounty programs to pay out more. We understand the research community spends a lot of time on vulnerabilities, and it's not easy, right? And they should be paying more and more, and that we think that's happening every day. And seeing Tesla up their P1 range to $10,000, like they're making it easier. It's heartwarming to see.
It is. It's wonderful. We're always very excited, and even our marketing department is constantly, our VP of marketing, Leilani, and she's constantly sending me emails saying, "Oh, look at who started up a new bug bounty program." So everyone's on board with the bug bounty programs.
That's awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about the marketing side of it, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that, and I have still to do, it's on my task list, is obviously we providing information to our marketing department so they can start throwing this up on our corporate website. But unfortunately, I've been a little overwhelmed and we haven't had a chance to do that. So hopefully soon. But you will start seeing our bug bounty program on our corporate website, explaining our program, as well as the vulnerability disclosure program. And so that should be coming shortly as well. Our marketing collateral has been revised so that it does reflect our bug bounty program. Nice. So that when our sales and marketing staff go out, our sales staff go out to visit our customers, our existing and potential customers, they can talk about the bug bounty programs. They can talk about what that is and why we're a step above. Because I'm going to flat out say and give a shout out to Zephyr. We might have only been around for 4 years, but we are leaps and bounds ahead of our competitors in regards to our security program. I mean, I know that. So that's very exciting, and we want to sell that, and we want our customers to know.
That's fantastic. I'd love to hear it. So I think it's time for questions from the crowd.
Okay.
Of people who are joining us today. So I think this is an interesting one. Can you talk more about how you determine success? How do you define that, in the beginning, what do you want out of it? And then, did Bugcrowd deliver on that?
Okay. Well, to define what we see as success, let's talk about what our problems were. What was our challenges? Okay. What could we not do? Okay. You're talking about a young company. We're very eager to, work on maturing our security model. And what we don't have the resources. Okay. Even the bigger companies have a hard time holding on to security folk. So it's going to be tough for a smaller company to do that. But but we still have to have a secure product. We, in the healthcare world, we are expected to put out secure products, and we're tested on that. And so we needed to make sure that we had something in place where we could look at, what bugs we might be missing, and, we can't afford, honestly, to continue to do traditional pen testing. At $25,000 a pop every time you want to do something, it starts to add up and it gets very expensive. So that was one of the reasons why, it was to reduce the cost that was imposed by traditional pen testing, external pen testing. So reducing the cost, check. All right. Expanding our gene pool, check. All right. So finding bugs in our systems that, we didn't know were there, that could potentially harm us and our customers, check. That's a success.
That's awesome.
So on every level were our challenges. When we had challenges, they were addressed through our bug bounty program.
I think once again that's something that resonates with almost all of Bugcrowd's customers. They don't want it to be an overburden, right? They want it to be something that's easy, efficient, and effective. And then we're hopefully delivering that, because that's our goal. On top of that, most people I talk to, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that, by the way. Let's just face it, as engineers, we tend to get very, our egos are quite healthy. But at the end of the day, you need to put that aside, because the goal here is to create a secure product and know that you're not perfect. And it just takes you just to mess up once or forget something once in your coding, and you've got a zillion people out there, they just need to find that. They're going to find it. So, be proactive and try and find it first.
Yeah, and that's the defender's dilemma that Casey Ellis was on an airplane from San Francisco to Sydney in 2012, and he decided to start Bugcrowd. He was like, "There is a problem. I think I have a solution, and it seems to be working very well." So.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's funny because actually on our way over here, we're talking about this company is going to go fast. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's been it's exciting ride so far.
Yeah, it has
we're
been.
Excited
We're
for the
really
future.
happy to be with you guys and watching you grow and being a part of that.
Cool, awesome. So another question, I wasn't sure if you can
Okay.
examples of some bugs that came out of the program. I might
did.
be putting you on the
Okay.
spot, but I don't know if you can.
It's so funny because I was thinking, see, what kind of questions are going to come up? And I absolutely knew, hands down, that one was going to come up. All right, absolutely.
If you can.
Okay, so
You
there's
can say
two
no.
things I will tell you. Okay, we definitely found some P1s and P2s. Okay, I won't tell you exactly what those were, but I can tell you that they have been addressed. So, and they were addressed immediately within 24 hours of finding those. Both P1s and P2s were addressed on the spot. And we knew that going in. We made sure that if we had any issues, that if any P1s or 2s came out of this, that they would be addressed immediately. And they were. They were addressed. So I'm sorry, not ready to put that up on yet, but someday, remember, that's my goal. I want to put our pen test up on our corporate website.
Well, I think we were pretty confident that we would produce results.
But if you know what usually results in a P1 and P2, you can figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And again, that was a good answer for examples. But I think, it's 97% of the programs Bugcrowd has ever kicked off have resulted in multiple P2s or higher.
Mm-hmm.
So that statistic alone makes us pretty confident. And if you are in that 3% that aren't getting P2s or P1s out of your program, we can be pretty confident that people looked.
Right.
That's just the economics and the reason that why we're here is, throw
And by
100
the
people
way,
at it. You're gonna find something.
and one thing about Zephyr Health, we're not afraid. We are not afraid in regards to, putting this out there and saying, oh, yeah, we weren't perfect. There were some issues. That's why we're doing this. We want to be open. We want to find out what these issues are so that we can address them. And we expect probably moving forward, we're going to continue to find these kind of things. That's why we're going to continue with bug bounty programs.